The Northern Baptist Convention (NBC) of 1922, the high water mark of the fundamentalist and, as they were often referred to, liberal, modernist, radical, all referred to them as liberals hereforth, battle in the Baptist faith was destined to mark an important point in the history of American Protestantism. June 15th, the fundamentalists. This convention would pit the fundamentalists against the liberals over the issuance of a creed that all Baptist followers would have to pledge to abide by. The fundamentalists, defining themselves based on Curtis Lee Law's definition, believe in the Bible's history, miracles, and prophecies as it was written by men divinely inspired. They further believe that the liberal war against supernaturalism would undermine the religion's foundation and thus vowed for change at the NBC of 1922, June 13th. The fundamentalists hope to unite all Baptists through two methods. One, by having William Jennings Bryan speak at the convention. Himself a devoted fundamentalist, and while not a Baptist, he was recognized as the greatest moral force of the day, June 14th and 13th. The second method, the most controversial, was the use of the New Hampshire Confession of Faith as the Baptist Creed. The Baptists, as part of their founding, did not have a creed. They simply pledged allegiance to the New Testament. In hopes to unite the Baptist faith and prevent future hearsay at the hand of Baptist teachers and leaders, the fundamentalists wanted the NBC to vote to require all Baptist congregations and Baptists to pledge allegiance to the New Hampshire Confession of Faith. June 15th, the fundamentalists. Part of the reason behind the insistence upon a creed by the fundamentalists was to hold Baptist teachers and schools accountable for their Christian faith. Baptists took systems of education very seriously, as at this point in time they controlled 22 colleges, 20 academies, and 7 seminaries with the mission of teaching the Christian religion through the Baptist denomination. June 15th, Baptists hear plea. Thus, the philosophy of the Baptist denomination, which was decided at the NBC, would determine the creed of the schools and what they taught to the next generation of Baptists and Christians. A noteworthy fundamentalist and nominee for president of the NBC by the fundamentalists, Dr. Goodchild, claimed the church is the mother of the school and did not hold in high regard its current system of education by stating that I would rather have my child under the care of the devil himself than some of the teachers in our Baptist schools. June 14th. The issue of education was also important to the NBC's liberal president, Barrett, who was not in favor of the fundamentalists and spoke in her keynote address that Satan is here, and he longs to divide us, seemingly warning the NBC about the fundamentalists and of adopting the creed they were hoping to adopt through the entire denomination. June 15th, Baptists hear plea. This bitter struggle between the fundamentalists and liberals had all the trappings of a political debate with the future of the denomination at stake, as one member of the delegation claimed during a vote that I've been in political conventions, but this is the worst steamrolling I ever saw. June 17th. President Barrett, at points seeming to attempt to appease the fundamentalists, remarked that even should a creed like the New Hampshire Confession of Faith be ratified, it would not be announced by the NBC or become affiliated with the convention, and would be left to local churches to decide whether or not to adopt. June 15th, Baptists hear plea. Perhaps a concession for the fundamentalists, it was perceived as a lack of confidence in the creed, and fundamentalists nominated their own members for president and other positions in the NBC in hopes of gaining control of the convention in which they claimed a majority. June 13th and 15th, the fundamentalists. In the end, the fundamentalists failed to persuade the NBC to adopt the creed and gain control of the convention, leaving them under the control of the liberals and left with the option to stay with the NBC or split and create their own group. The fundamentalists chose the latter and created what would become the Baptist Bible Union under the leadership of J. Frank Norris, June 17th. The tumultuous NBC of 1922 caused the split of the Baptist faith as the fundamentalists and liberals could not agree on a path forward for the denomination.